Hey, would you do me a favor? Grab your phone or smart device and open up that camera. Then point it right here at the QR code. Do you have it? I'll wait a second. When you see the link pop up on your screen, give it a tap. You ready? Boom! Welcome to the Hillsborough County official YouTube channel. We've got all sorts of videos here, all about what makes our community such an awesome place. From local events and community highlights to what's in the perfect Cuban sandwich. We've got it all. We're always adding new things, so while you're here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss a new video. Here's that QR code again, just in case you missed it. Go ahead and check it out. Ooh. This must have fallen out of that video. This really is the perfect Cuban sandwich.
Right now, as you're watching this video, there are over 40 million people getting trafficked against their will. And what makes it even worse is that stat is notoriously underreported.
So many victims even know their traffickers well. A parent, a family friend, even spouses. 7 out of 10 victims are female.
1 out of 4 is a child. We gotta do better. We need you to enter the fight, and we need you now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Circuit 13 Juvenile Justice Advisory Board. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Madam Secretary, I'd ask for you to take roll, and please acknowledge your presence when you're called.
We'll start with Travis Coy, Mr. Rocky Brancato,
Here.
Gina Justice.
Here.
Beth Pasek is excused. Captain Myra Rivera. Lieutenant Matthew Kamat, Commissioner Gwendolyn Myers, Chrissy Dorian, Conchita Canty-Jones, Laura Byrne, Reverend Dames is excused, Sarah Grimmett, Markesh Thomas, Latrice Rowell. Pam Jeffrey.
Here.
Rob Parkinson.
Here.
That's it.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I am Rocky Brancato. I chair the Juvenile Justice Board, and my other job is at the Public Defender's Office. I'm the Chief Operations Officer. We'll go around and do introductions.
I'm Rob Parkinson with the Hillsborough County Criminal Justice Office, and I'm the Vice Chair.
Good morning, I'm Latrice Rowell. I'm with One More Child.
Good morning, I'm Captain Myra Rivera with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Lieutenant Comment with the Tampa Police Department.
Good morning, Sarah Grimmick with Hillsborough County Sins Fins.
Good morning, Judy Royston with JDP, Juvenile Diversion Program.
Hi, Gina Justice, Court Administrator, 13th Judicial Circuit.
Hey, Pam Jeffries, Success for Kids and Families.
Cindy Grant with Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance.
Laura Byrne with Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine.
Ryan Agassiz, Chief, Department of Juvenile Justice in Circuit 13.
Kelly Hammersley, Chief Probation Officer, Circuit 13, DJJ.
Good morning, everyone. Davia Larabor, Secretary of this board and PACE Center for Girls. I remind everyone, please sign in if you haven't already done so.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Markesh Thomas.
Thank you.
Rocky, excuse me.
Yes.
I've been asked to do it again. I didn't have my mic on.
Okay,
Right.
go ahead, Ms. Rowell.
Good morning again. My name is Latrice Rowell, and I'm with One More Child. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to go off agenda, or not off agenda, out of order with the agenda to do our presentation today of the Julianne Holt Service Excellent Award. And we'll do that at the podium. And before we do that, I'll say a few things, and then we'll go up to the podium. So our nominee and winner this year is Mr. Freddie Barton. He is the Executive Director of Safe and Sound Florida. We received a nomination from Jessica Tien from the Public Defender's Office. And she had wrote, Freddie Barton is the director of the Reporting Center, a male youth mentoring program. This program provides male mentorship, positive direction, tutoring, career counseling, networking of agencies, parental enrichment, volunteer service hours, and many other services for our needy male youths. Many of our juvenile clients in the courts have expressed a deep appreciation for Freddie Barton's ongoing contribution. And I'd like to add to that, there was an article in the Tampa Bay Times. It was August 23rd, 2022. And I want to just read a portion of that. And it only begins to describe the investment that Mr. Barton has in the children in our community. And so this is just a portion of it. Every day at 3:30 a.m., a court docket arrives in Freddie Barton's inbox from the docket. The charges range from loitering to aggravated assault with a weapon. Barton is up around 5 a.m. on a typical day, and after a quick workout, he's attending court hearings for the arrested kids by 9. He helped develop an evening reporting center designed to keep arrested juveniles from being placed in confinement. This serves as an important stopgap in the juvenile justice system, he said, as there's no option for bail for these kids. When they get arrested, they could be confined for up to 21 days. Judges can allow arrested kids to report to the center to work with Barton instead of being detained. After attending the day's hearings, Barton usually heads to meetings at places like churches, youth clubs, and schools. Then he'll meet with the Sheriff's Office or Tampa Police Department to discuss programs and events that Safe and Sound is working on. To those who work with Barton, say he's tireless, committed, and effective. He resonates with children so well, said Hillsborough County Commissioner Gwen Myers, who serves on the Safe and Sound Leadership Council. You can tell the kids actually want to listen to him. Barton keeps a busy schedule. He's the leader of Tampa's My Brother's Keeper, National Initiative, a mentorship program for young men of color, and serves on the leadership board of the University of South Florida's Center for Justice, Research Policy. He's also a member of Hillsborough State Attorney's Community Advisory Council and chairperson of the Circuit 13 Detention Advisory Board. And as it pertains to the evening reporting center, not only the supervised release program, but he's also involved with the Juvenile Holistic Advocacy Program, which wraps services around our children and helps divert them, and the Youth Gun Offender Program, which is one of our biggest issues right now in our community, is trying to wrap our heads around how to curb that and still serve the children as well. In addition to all that, he's on the weekends. He's at events. He's pretty much raised his kids in the Safe and Sound program. Been to many events where he's not only directed the event and organized it, but it's there cooking burgers, and sometimes has put me to work, and I'm happy to help him with that. But we'll approach the podium, and this award, of course, is made, or it was named after our public defender, Julianne Holt, who is coming up on 30 years of service to this community as our elected public defender. Our community's children has been a priority and a passion of hers, and that is why the board named the award after her. And I'd like her to come up as well as we present the award to Mr. Barton. And I'll read the award here. 22 Julianne M. Holt Dedication to Public Service Award, presented to Freddie Barton for his significant contribution and commitment to the youth of Hillsborough County, November 2022. Welcome, Freddie.
Good morning. My heart is full, not just for receiving this award, but receiving this award in honor and in name of someone who I respect professionally and personally. I'd like to, one, recognize her for almost 30 years of work in this community. And I want to thank this board for supporting Safe and Sound throughout all of our efforts, but especially as we try to lift up the Evening Reporting Center. As mentioned in the article, every single day, unfortunately, I'm in court hearings. I'm in detention hearings. Unfortunately, I hope that I won't be. I hope that I won't have to go to detention hearings on Thanksgiving. I hope that I won't have to go the day after Thanksgiving, on Christmas, the day after Christmas. I hope that we get to a point that we don't have to have so many detention hearings because our youth are now making positive choices. But for those that do not, we stand in the gap ready to work with them. I want to thank all the members of Safe and Sound Hillsborough, our chairwoman, Julianne Holt, boss. And I want to thank Samicia Bagley, Rosalie Smith. This work cannot be done unless we have a strong team. We have our team at the reporting center, but we also have a core team at Safe and Sound Hillsborough. Our vision is working together to build strong families, safe schools, and healthy neighborhoods. We can only do that if we keep the community at the forefront of everything that we try to do. We want to thank our community partners. The reporting center, since inception in 2021, we have had 168 young men to come through. And we've seen young men graduate high school. We've seen young men go to college. We've seen young men go to the military. But we've also seen young men come back into the system. So we know that there's a lot more work to be done. We know that as many days that we spend working with our young folks, we have to spend even more time and energy into making sure they understand that there's another route for them. We recently lifted up our youth gun offender program. We're going to work with these young men who are committing offenses and they don't even know why they're doing it. And we're going to keep them with us for 6 months or longer to do two things. One, to show them that there's another way to deal with your emotions, your anger, and more importantly, that it's important to know that you have these issues. And it's important to know that you can deal with them. We can't do it alone. Our law enforcement agencies can't do it alone. Our churches can't do it alone. Only together will the village win. And I stand at the ready. A motorcycle accident couldn't keep me away from here, right, boss? And nothing's going to stop us from continuing to do this work. Before I close, I'd like to ask for just one thing, and that is to continue to find us good individuals who want to mentor and volunteer to stand in the gap. I'll leave you with a simple story that happened not 2 weeks ago. A young man who had completed our 21-day program at the reporting center called me and asked me, could I get him an Uber to get to court? I said, sure, no problem. I asked him, but where's your mom? And he said, she's already gone to court. I was confused and I asked him, did she have a court hearing? He said, no, she's on the way to my court hearing. After about a 5-second pause, because of bewilderment, I asked him, why is your mom going to your court hearing in your home? He said, she said I needed to get there the best way I can. I called mom and I asked what was going on. She said, we had a falling out last night. I don't want to deal with him, and I'm going to tell the judge that he needs to do something. He finished your program, and as soon as he finished your program, about a couple of months later, he started doing the other things that he was doing before. And I asked her, you do realize that your child is under the age of 18. You do realize that he's due to court. You do realize that you're his mother. And all I'm asking you to do is to go back and get your young child to court. Unfortunately, I sent an Uber to this young man. By the time he got to his court hearing, his mom had already left. Told the judge something needs to be done, and I went and contacted the judge and I asked, could we get that young man back in our program? Unfortunately, Mr. Freddie can only be at so many court hearings, so we are recruiting mentors and volunteers to just do one thing, and if we can accomplish this, I know that we're okay and I can figure out the next bright idea. I want an army of men to do nothing but just show up to court with these young men. To show them that as long as you do what you're supposed to do, we're gonna stand in the gap for you. We're gonna show you we give a damn, and we're gonna help you along the way to a positive point in your life. Beyond the reporting center, Safe and Sound Hillsborough addresses mental wellness, bringing communities together, reducing and preventing gun violence, providing mentorship opportunities to all of our children, male and female, and bringing people together in an orderly fashion to let them understand that their voices are being heard and can be heard if we all work together. I want to thank you for this award. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me that it's named after Mrs. Holt, and it means a lot to me that you all are here to celebrate in this moment. I know most of your faces already. We've had many a meeting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next year or two with Safe and Sound Hillsborough. I want to thank Hillsborough County. I want to thank Mr. Rob Parkinson for always being that voice in my ear, the kick in my butt, and the person that holds us accountable to what we say that we're going to do. I want to thank the members of our leadership council, including Mrs. Justice here, who come every month to guide us, to direct us, and to make sure that we're doing what we say that we're going to do. And most of all, I want to thank our kids. The one thing that our kids know, the constant that they know, is disappointment. They know people come in their lives and leave. So with that disappointment comes distrust. I want to thank the young people that come to us and allow us the opportunity to build a relationship. And they tell us when they think that we're going astray. So I want to thank our youth for allowing us to come into their lives. I want to thank them for trusting us. And I want to thank the community for entrusting us with the responsibility of working together to prevent violence. Thank you so much.
I want to note that in January, the Secretary of Department of Juvenile Justice will be here at our meeting, and we have certain board priorities that we want to give to him as he gives us our priorities, and Mr. Barton will be speaking at that January meeting to talk about the Evening Reporting Center and why we need to keep it in this community. All right, we'll move on to item number 3. Has everyone had a chance to review the September 2022 minutes?
I have, Mr. Chair, and I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Ms. Rowell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, they'll be approved. Move on to item number 4, the chairperson's report. So when Secretary Hall took over as the chair, or as the secretary of the Juvenile Justice, one of his first things was to get all of the boards in line with the statutes. We've always had a very robust board of many, many people, but the statutes have a specific number. I believe it's 17 members, and they have to fall into specific criteria. And The chair does make the appointment of the board members, which was kind of a hard task, but a lot of people came together to help fill the board positions. We have filled nearly every position. We have one remaining, and I expect probably by the next meeting, we'll fill that one as well. So I do want to at least acknowledge the people who are new that have joined the board. The board roster is attached to our agenda, but we have some new people here today that I'd like to acknowledge. Captain Myra Rivera from the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office. She is the designee of the sheriff. Conchita Canty-Jones, she is the statutory representative from our workforce organization. We have Laura Byrne here. She is from Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine, which is a magazine that I have relied on in finding summer camps and things for my 5-year-old. She is a representative from the business community, and we're pleased to welcome her. We have a new representative from the faith community who's not here today. He's actually in Israel. But I went to him expecting that he would appoint a youth pastor at the most, and he stood up and said, I'm going to do it. And that's Reverend Dr. Glenn Dames Jr. from the Allen Temple African Methodist Episcopal Church. We have Markesh Thomas. Markesh is a doctoral student over at St. Leo University. Yes, and she is filling the position of family member of a youth who's been involved in a juvenile justice system. Her brother has been involved in that system, and so she's going to bring that perspective to us, and we very much appreciate you being here. Pam Jeffrey from Success for Kids is joining us as part of the Youth Serving Coalition. Kimberly Williams from the Children's Network of Hillsborough County. She's also joining us from as a member of the Youth Serving Coalition. And she's been excused today. She had a conflict. And then the only position now that we need to fill is let's see what the exact word is. Youth representative with DJJ experience 21 or younger. We've never had that position on this board as long as I've served for years, or as long as I've attended for years, because I don't truly know how long I've been on the board. And we've also never really had a parent or family member representative as well. But I believe that we're going to have that filled by the next meeting. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. We're in the works of trying to figure out how to accomplish that, but I expect that very shortly we're going to have a full board consisting of all statutory members. And so very pleased for everyone who has stepped up and for everyone who has been serving. There's plenty of people here who I didn't mention who've been to these meetings and have been stepped up. So very much appreciate them as well. So that's the first part of the chairperson's report. The second part is the appointment of the executive board. We haven't really had a good differentiation between the executive board and this full meeting here, and we now do after coming up with our bylaws. The members of the executive board will be myself as chair, Mr. Parkinson as vice chair, Davia Larabors, she'll be the secretary. Latrice Rowell is going to be a member. She is the co-chair of the Nominations and Membership Committee. Sarah Grimmick is also going to be a member of our executive committee as a co-chair of the Nominations and Membership Committee. Conchita Canty-Jones is going to become a member. She is the chair of the Julianne Holt Service Excellent Award Committee. And then there's one other position to be filled, and that is the chair of the Systems Improvement Committee. And as we learn more about the systems improvement position that the Department of Juvenile Justice is filling, we'll name someone at that point after we know kind of what more that's going to involve. So that's the second update. And then the third update from the chair is Mr. Parkinson and I attended on October 24th a statewide meeting of the Circuit Advisory Board chairs. And then there was another meeting. It was a joint meeting of the statewide chairs and the statewide advisory group. And it was a collaborative meeting. And I'm not going to go into everything. Mr. Parkinson actually stuck around for some training, and he might want to tell us about that, but I was not able to attend that. But of note from that meeting is kind of a revision of the structure of Department of Juvenile Justice. Chief Hall, Secretary Hall announced 4 cornerstones to system impact. And so the first cornerstone is talent, leadership, and culture cornerstone. And to head that, many people know Minnie Bishop. She is going to be the Director of Office, Talent, Leadership, and Culture. The second cornerstone is the Data-Informed Decision-Making cornerstone. And Mr. Rico Cooper has been named to head that as the Director of Office System Innovation. The next cornerstone is the Evidence-Based Implementation cornerstone. And Ms. Sherry Jackson has been named the Director of Office Research and Data Integrity. And then finally, the Student Achievement cornerstone. And Ms. Julie Orange has been named the Director of the Office of Education. So those are some of the cornerstones that the Secretary is going to be focused on. We look forward to learning more about it and how they're going to work with us. And that's the report. Any questions on the chair's report? Okay. We'll move on to committee reports. The Bylaws Committee is a committee that I chaired, and there is a summary in our minutes. I just want to acknowledge people that were involved in our bylaw process. And it may not have made it to there, so I'll go off the top of my head. I know Mr. Parkinson was part of the committee. Ms. Justice, Ms. Grimmig. We had Ms. Rao, you were part of that, weren't you? No? Okay, Ms. Bitrich, Davia Larabors, Will Schmidt from Phoenix House did come. And I think that's about it. We had 2 meetings, and they were each about an hour long. Very much appreciate everyone's input. And so attached to your agenda are 2 different versions of our proposed bylaws. There is the legislative version that shows the changes, and then there is the clean version that we hope to enact. I'm not going to go over it line by line unless there's a request to do so. They were sent out in advance of the meeting. But is there any questions or comments about the bylaws as proposed?
Just one comment. I want to thank you for all the work that you did to coordinate that effort. A lot of what that group worked on was just making sure that the bylaws are in line with the statute and DJJ's expectations. And I think we've done that in the final work product. And I don't think there's any reason that they should have a problem with the final format once they get it and receive it. And my understanding is it has to be approved by the secretary. But again, it was a lot of drudgery going through each individual line, making sure it's consistent with statutory requirements. And I think we've gotten there with the current format.
Does anyone have a motion as to the acceptance of our proposed bylaws as our bylaws that will govern us on the Circuit 13 Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Justice.
And I will second.
Thank you. So there's been a motion by Ms. Justice and a second by Mr. Parkinson to accept our bylaws, proposed bylaws as our governing bylaws. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, they will pass, and we will sign those today and get those off to the department for review and hopefully approval. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to member updates. Ms. Hammerly, Department of Juvenile Justice.
Good morning, thank you. Well, some information that I could present today, just to advise, in secure detention currently we have 54 youth. Actually, I'm going to say as of yesterday, 54 youth when I checked. And on supervised release status, we have 42 youth. Of those 42 youth, there are 16 that are on EM. Also on electronic monitoring, I should have said that EM meaning electronic monitoring, we have an additional 8 youth that are on it as a condition of their probation supervision. So that brings us to 22 youth. But I believe we also have some more that are on there in different situations as well. For probation, we currently have 247 youth on supervision, 24 youth that are receiving probation day treatment services, 24 youth that are on post-commitment probation, 5 youth that are on conditional release, that is aftercare supervision from release from residential commitment, and we have 28 youth that are currently in commitment status, in residential status in our circuit. Other updates we have is that the ERC, Freddie Barton, will be facilitating more or less a brunch and learn, lunch and learn virtual session for our probation staff as far as the services that the ERC offers our youth, their operational hours, items such as that, because we want to continue to encourage that dialogue and that knowledge of what the ERC provides to our youth, and also the requirements and conditions of youth that may be attending the ERC as a condition of supervised release or as a condition of their probation order. It can, for probation, sometimes they're ordered to attend the ERC 60, 90 days, what have you, in addition to the youth that are there through the JHAP program as well. So that training that Freddie's going to be providing us is next Tuesday, 11/22, virtually through Teams at 1 p.m. So I want to share that with you. The next item is the Office of Systems Innovation. Currently, all leadership in the department is undergoing training for that. And by leadership, I mean all chiefs, assistant chiefs, all detention superintendents, assistant superintendents. We were delayed a little bit in the training due to the storms and the hurricanes, so we still have another component to complete. But we are preparing to go forward in live January 2023. So I'll have more information working with our OSI coach to provide to the JJ board as far as what items that the board determines are of need and how we can start working through the data recovery, which is more or less anybody that's attended the Certified Public Manager program. A lot of that information that we're receiving as far as our training is what was part of that program, as far as data-driven decision-making, what have you. Another item, well, Mr. Broncano, you already touched on that, is the Secretary newest goals for our department as we move forward. And we understand that he will be here on January 20th, and that's a great opportunity for our board and for him to understand all the hard work that everybody, all the members that agencies, stakeholders have put forward. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And the last item I'd like to mention is that DJJ and DCF, where we're still continuing to work, actually we're enhanced now on our collaboration of having multidisciplinary team staffings, interagency staffings of our youth that are crossover youth. There is about, 4 to 5 to 6, a week that we're taking part of. And also, we have currently working with DCF and our community care based provider, a weekly pilot staffing that we're doing every Friday at 1 o'clock, where selected certain youth that are in foster care situations that could receive encouragement. As far as part of this conversation, the youth is present during these staffings to share their input, see where they're going, encouraging them to continue to be positive and make positive decisions. So that's been going on for about 2 months now, every Friday. So we'll see what happens as that progresses, and I believe that's all I have at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Hammersley? Thank you. Anyone here from prevention? Detention? Okay, I'll reach out to Major Grice. I did ask that he start attending these meetings. I think detention is a very important aspect of this board, and would like him to send a designee if he cannot attend. Civil citations.
Good morning, everybody. So I've been recently selected to run the administrative office of the court's juvenile diversion program. So I'm the Yvette Boatwright. It's good to be here. I'm glad to be back. I have October stats. So for the month of October, we had 51 clients referred, 26 from the community, 25 from the schools, with the dominant charges in the community being battery, domestic violence, and petty theft. And in the schools, the dominant charges were battery and possession of marijuana. Of these clients, 20 were females, 31 were males. And I looked from last year's October 2021 stats, how we compared. We had 10 more clients. We had 61 clients were referred, 23 community, and 38 from schools. And other than that, that's the updates, unless someone has some questions.
Thank you, Ms. Royston. Fins. Ms. Grimmick?
Well, good morning, everyone. October was a busy month for us. We spent a lot of time working with some of our community partners in helping educate not just our own staff about other businesses, specifically the Crisis Center and our new friends at the Jack, getting tours and discussing programs, but also just the dynamics of how each of us impacts each other. So that's been a great opportunity for some of our new staff and some of those new teams to continue our efforts to serve some of our kids that are on the cusp. And before I give you our stats, I just want to piggyback off of what Ms. Hammersley was discussing with the staffing. So Beth Pasek, who isn't here today, but she is spending a lot of time and energy with our interagency staffings for these youth who are on the cusp of DJJ involvement and moving to DCF removal. And so we are spending a lot of time in the last few months helping support and wrap families to prevent sheltering kids. And I cannot commend Beth enough for the efforts in getting all of us together regularly when these red flag staffings come up so we can have conversations with families and support before children are completely removed. I think that is really helping some of these kids and their families to stay together. And so it's taking a lot of time. Those were once every blue moon last year, and this year it's about 5 a week of these kids that could be just going into foster care. And there's a lot of people on those calls really just looking for opportunities to keep the family together. And I think that's just an effort that our community is so unique in. And so I wish Beth was here to receive her praise, but it really is a great opportunity for us to change the trajectory of some of these kids. So for us, for October, we saw 26 new families served in our community counseling. We had 235 bed days for SINS kids. And something I looked at specifically with our SINS kids is that was 7 children, and of those 7 children, 3 of them were homeless, and 2 of them were truant ordered to shelter. And so I'm monitoring the homeless increase in youth that we're seeing. We're seeing more SINS kids come in, and they're staying longer, which is just a concern in our community of those 7 kids. We had 107 bed days for domestic violence, and 57 of our bed days were civil citation youth coming into care. Right now, we currently have 10 kids. 8 of them are community kids. 1 of them is DV, which is really great. We haven't been that low in a really long time. And 1 of them is emergency shelter placement. So that's a child that's been recently sheltered. And we have 3 open vacancies if you know anyone looking for work. We have some direct care staff needs for shelter. We have recently had a vacancy for a clinician for residential. So that does not necessarily have to be a licensed person. And then we have a vacancy for a nurse. So anyone that has any friends or knows anyone looking, please share that with your community. Outside that, that's all my updates.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmick. Anyone have any questions?
Sarah, thank you for that report. Just a quick observation. There was a meeting before this meeting, the Public Safety Coordinating Council. Ms. Jeffrey gave a wonderful presentation on the Juvenile Mental Health Court program, talked about some successes and some challenges. One of the challenges that her staff identified was the increase in homeless youth coming through the system as well. Are you sensing any reason for that? Is this due to the pandemic? Is this due to other socioeconomic factors? What are you seeing?
So our trends have been a little dynamic. So some of it is disruption of families with vouchers for Section 8 housing, but behavior of child. So that's unique. And we've got kind of we're trying to find some wrap services to support how we mitigate that, working with our social services department too to find housing. Other is affordability of housing. We've got a couple of families that have been stuck in the cycle of hoteling and moving from hotel to hotel. And then again, behavior becomes a factor with these teens. And then a lot of families living in cars. And that is just because they cannot find affordable housing. Most of them are working. We're not seeing a huge group of guardians that are unemployed. They're working, just not able to fill the gaps in between.
So a little bit of everything being thrown at the wall here. Pam, you know, the case that was brought up this morning was a behavioral issue. And I wonder, Bays is in the room today. Bays recently engaged in a partnership to bring functional family therapy here to Hillsborough County, which is going to be a game changer because it not only focuses on the youth's troubled behavior, but family issues as well. Do you think expansion of FFT throughout Hillsborough County can help with some of those behavioral issues we're encountering that lead to homelessness?
Yeah, I mean, I'll chime in. Absolutely. I mean, it's a matter of trying to catch them before they get to that point. And so, where in the system can we do that true diversion kind and catch them before they get to the point where they're doing stuff that's getting the parents evicted and whatnot? That is a big, I will echo what Sarah was saying in terms of what we're seeing. Also, I will tell you a little bit more detail of the story that we told this morning. The wrap up of that is, we ended up, that family who was living in the gazebo, they were living in a gazebo, a church's gazebo, ended up getting a place to live, but the way that they were able to do that was they convinced a family member to go in with them together and get a place. And because the mom had gotten to the point where she couldn't sign a lease, and so they got an aunt to sign the lease and live there with them. And I'll be honest with you, it's not a great place. And our family navigator was kind of like, I looked up the reviews, it's not great. But there was no other options. There was truly no other options. And to echo what you said, this is an employed woman. She works for the Hillsborough County school system. And so, yeah. Affordability, the behavior, it's all what we're seeing.
And Rob, I will say, our efforts with Bays, they are recently going to be going out in the community looking to present in front of agencies to receive referrals. Our efforts for Citizens is to get them in front of our community counseling team. Those families are not in this super high-risk situation. They're usually a family that's just starting to see some behaviors. So hopefully if we can connect families there, that's going to help. By the time they're in shelter, there's usually extreme crisis, and eviction is a problem. If the parents have gotten to a point where they are being evicted, it is even harder to help support getting them to that next place. But we're looking at options for partnerships with some agencies that can help with some of the legal things families might encounter. But then what to do with vouchers. There's not a lot of options, even with a voucher, of places to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Grimmick? Thank you. We'll go back to prevention. Ms. McGee, anything for us?
Sure, there's always something. First of all, good morning, and please forgive my lateness. I went to the wrong location. But what I would like to report, first of all, is to thank everybody that supported Restoring Hope Training Summit. That was the end of October. We really appreciate your support and your help in making sure that that was a very successful training conference. Of course, as you know, we went from having a conference of just being for one day, but we had gotten a lot of great reviews that basically stated that they would like for us to expand it, and we expanded for 2 days. And so with 1 day, 1.5 day, we had maybe about 300-400 people attend. With the 2 days, we were able to successfully have almost over 600 people that attended. So you will probably continue to see a 2-day or even more, depending on how much support we continue to get from the communities, our surrounding communities. The other thing that I would like to report is that we do have an upcoming gap, which I'm going to be working out with Hillsborough PACE for the coming year. Also, to let you know that there has been some conversations with Mr. Freddie Barton as far as his gun violence initiative, and also expanding our gaps a little bit further than just a conversation. So I'm looking very forward to having more conversations to see how we can best address a lot of the things that we see in behaviors within our communities to reduce the crime so that we can reduce the kids coming into the juvenile justice system. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. McGee. Any questions?
Just a couple comments. Pat, I was able to go and participate in the entire Restoring Hope event. Obviously, the first day was the boards and councils meeting. It was a full day. I think it was a great opportunity to see what DJJ leadership had in mind for the future of the system. The secretary, our current secretary, has been in office going on a year now, and he's kind of been flying under the radar on some issues, and we know now that that was because he was shoring up things like making sure people had appropriate salaries, covering vacancies at institutions and in probation, and now he's really trying to shift his focus and priority to kind of his passion areas. Primarily among them is educational achievement. And you're going to see when he comes in January that that's going to be a big theme for juvenile justice involved youth is helping them achieve some level of not only educational achievement, but vocational futures. That'll be a theme as well. For the rest of the prevention event, there was great educational sessions. Notably, I was able to meet with the staff for DJJ and DCF, who do human trafficking coordination. There's been a lot of discussion and talk here in Hillsborough County about human trafficking, and we know that each department has a function, but to see both of those departments talking to each other in one room and sharing how that information is identified on the DJJ side, how that information is conveyed to DCF, and how those investigations are pursued. Wonderful opportunity. I was actually in a session with Judge Bowman from our own circuit, so he was able to kind of hear it from the horse's mouth. One of the other notable sessions that I attended had to do with functional family therapy. And a provider from the Panhandle talked about some of their wonderful, wonderful outcomes they've had. And again, functional family therapy not only focuses on youth behavior, but the family as well, which is, as Freddie mentioned this morning, can be a challenge equal to dealing with the challenges that our youth deal with. And I was completely blown away with the presentation on functional family therapy. Came back the next day, I planned to actually call Rocky and say, hey, we need to figure out what we need to do to bring that model here. And Bay Area Youth Services sent out an email about an hour later saying that they were engaging in a partnership to bring it to our community. So I think that's going to reap some wonderful, wonderful benefits down the line. In fact, we'll probably have to expand and enhance it in the coming years. But Pat, great conference. I know you were involved in that and helped coordinate that. And we ran into the hallway every 5 minutes. But thank you. Again, great opportunity. When I attend those meetings, I like to see, what are other communities doing that we aren't, that could bring added value to what we do and better serve our youth. I was very impressed that we do a lot that other communities don't have. I was very impressed that we have a level of communication and collaboration that other communities don't have. I've heard from other jurisdictions that, their justice system is still very adversarial when it comes to serving youth. And to hear these partnerships that we've had, and again, these partnerships go back close to 30 years now, even before there were official DJJ boards. We are so far ahead of the curve on many, many things. And it's good to see that too. So again, thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to old business. At our last full meeting, we discussed coming up with some board priorities for Secretary Hall when he comes. And then at our executive meeting, we came up with some of those. And I have a feeling that I might not have completely captured them here. But a presentation by Mr. Barton on the Evening Reporting Center. Because that's something that is subject to funds being not renewed, and we want to keep that, especially because of issues with gun violence here, but also a change in the detention statute that has kind of allows kids to be detained longer. So looking for alternatives to that work. And we want the secretary to definitely, I know he's aware of it, and want him to hear from Freddie directly on that. A presentation by Ms. Grimmig from SINSFINS, particularly highlighting our DV respite program, which really allowed us to start giving civil citations to children who otherwise couldn't get them because if it was a family domestic violence situation, they couldn't get one. But now that we can wrap services around them and give them respite, we've been able to do that. An educational component from the school district on the JRAP program. And then, was there one more? Was that inclusive of the mental health court?
I don't recall us bringing up the juvenile mental health court, although we should be proud of it. I mean, it's the only one in the state. I think our concern was being mindful that obviously we want to impart some knowledge on the secretary, but he also plans on imparting some knowledge on us, so we wanted to not overwhelm him. As far as the three that you just mentioned, I would like to say that because I was there for 3 days, I did have a chance to have a sidebar with Deputy Secretary Neerman about evening reporting centers and the value. He indicated that the conclusion of funding for the evening reporting center is not maybe as set in stone as we were led to believe, and there might be an opportunity there. So we talked about making sure that when Freddie does his presentation in January, that we show some of those concrete operational metrics. And of course, the county looks at all aspects of the reentry center equally, and we love that we're serving kids, up to 21 days, and then also the post-21 day kids. But for DJJ, they also need to see the value of their dollars, and their funding is focusing on those 0 to 21 days. So we need to make sure that we emphasize that data when it's presented in January. But I left the conversation with some warm and fuzzies because I think there is an opportunity there that we were led to believe that maybe didn't exist. The other aspect is knowing that Freddie is also working on the educational aspect while kids are involved in the reentry center, including credit recovery options. I think the secretary is going to be impressed with that because, again, education is one of his pillars. As far as SINSFINs, again, DV respite, that has opened up an entire new avenue for diverting some of these kids from further penetration of the system. I think he's going to be impressed with that. And for number 3, that should actually read JREP, J-R-E-P, Juvenile Reentry Education Program. And I hate to bring this up because Pam keeps doing all these presentations for me. But Chrissy is going to be taking point on the presentation, but she might want you to be there as well. Even though you don't get paid to do it, you are basically act as administrative services organization for the school district to help those youth who are in adult education get their GEDs, level up on their modules, that sort of thing. But I think he's going to be really impressed with that. I don't know from my conversations, I don't think he didn't appear to have the history on how those funds used to be, or those services used to be paid for. And then I think it was circa 2011, 2012, the legislature mandated that adult ed had to be paid for by the participants and not the system. And, I think when they passed that legislation, they were thinking that adult ed is a 40-year-old going back for their GED. But in reality, we have a lot of juvenile justice involved youth that have to go through adult ed because of various issues. So helping impart that, the county's been paying for that since, again, I think 2012. But there might be some opportunities for funding partnership down the road as well. But again, I think he's going to be really impressed with you guys taking point on that.
Thank you, Robin. That sounds very promising about the Evening Reporting Center.
If I could just add.
Yes,
Excuse
Ms.
me.
Grimmig.
We're also going to be talking about our SINS-FINS petition, our CFCO kids. It is underutilized in the state, and the secretary's put a lot of kind of pressure on the network just to understand how the process works in our county, and it works so well. We serve more children through SINS-FINS petition than any county in the state, and so Angel Colon, who is our case manager for that intensive case management service, has been presenting to a few agencies, but we're going to highlight that it works here because our court system works with us, and we just have so many great relationships with community partnerships and understanding how to get these family services. And again, there is a lot of resource across the state that is available to agencies, and they're just not successful navigating the system to use it as fluid as we are in Hillsborough.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmig. Anything else on this? So I anticipate that January meeting will be a little bit longer than normal. We'll try to abbreviate our usual topics and focus on the back and forth to make best use of our time. Probably each presentation will be about 15 minutes, and then the secretary gets as long as he wants, and we'll have some good dialogue. Okay, we've already done our new business. We'll move on to our presentations. Today we have Dr. Bobby Smith, who is the executive principal of West University High School and Seminole Heights Charter School, and also Mr. McCray Mangum. He's the principal of Seminole Heights Charter School, and they are here to present on their programs. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bobby Smith. It's a pleasure to be here. I've got Mr. Mangum with me. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him. He is very eloquent in his speaking, and so I'll just kind of provide some color commentary as needed.
I'm humble. Well, it is a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. As Dr. Smith is the principal of West University High School, and I am the principal of Seminole Charter High School. And we are conveniently located, and one of the things that we are very proud of, as I want to make sure that the slide is moving before okay, here we go. We're conveniently located, and as We are located on Fowler and also on Martin Luther King and Florida. Seminole Heights is one of those schools, and West University is a school that is in collaboration with the local school district. We're fortunate to also be in collaboration with the 7th largest district in the nation. And so one of the things that we're very proud of is what we can offer all of the students that come to our schools. Seminole Heights was established in 2010, and West University was established in 2012. We're very humbled that Dr. Smith opened Seminole Heights, and we are fortunate that as we have earned the highest credit rating, which is SACS full accreditation. As we already have indicated our location, one of the things that we want to highlight, what you will see in our classrooms. You will see active engagement. We have computer-based instruction. One of the things that we are very proud of is that all of our teachers are highly certified, teacher-directed, blended instruction, mastery-based. When we talk about mastery-based, that means that if a student is working on a particular unit, they have an opportunity to reach mastery. If they should not master a unit, they will have to have an opportunity to have direct instruction with the teacher. They will have an opportunity to reset and go back and cover that material. So we really focus hard on building content knowledge. Technology-enhanced classrooms, and with the support of exceptional student education, 504, and English learning, other English learning languages. Also, our students have an opportunity to be able to increase credit earning. Students who come to us have an opportunity to really close the gaps exponentially. Individuals who may actually be behind. Sometimes students may come to us with a GPA that is lower than 2.0, which is required for a high school diploma, as our program accelerates and focuses solely on earning credit. For an instance, an individual who comes faithfully, they will be able to earn credit within 1 year. You can close out 2 years of education within 1 year. And so that is a major gravitational pull towards our students who are behind. When we talk about that reaching mastery, students have an opportunity to reach levels of letter grade of A, B, or C. That is with the embedded curriculum, making sure that they do not fall behind. Therefore, their GPA is going to be able to go up. For instance, I use an example for an individual student who came to us in partnership with the local district, a young man who really wanted to play sports. He needed a GPA of a 2.0 to be qualified. And he looked at what he could do, and within a few months, he had closed out 15 classes. He had raised his GPA to over 2.0, and then in turn, got himself in a position, and he's qualified to play football, and he's playing football at one of our local high schools right now. And so that is a major testimony as to what we can actually offer. One of the things that we are very proud of in our model is offering that social emotional support and the social services and the counseling arena. All of our schools have a licensed social worker who supports our students holistically. Confidentiality is very, very big, and we're paramount with making sure that we support our students holistically in that arena. Some of the unique characteristics of our program: we are always an open enrollment, meaning that anyone can come in, you can drop in at any time. We have individuals who just stop by our schools every day, literally, and we do not turn anyone away. We look at supporting students wherever they are. A number of our schools we call ourselves a melting pot, so to speak, where you have individuals of all walks. Sometimes students may need a smaller setting, being that we do have a unique model. It is a smaller setting, and we offer 2 sessions every single day. When we look at the ability to be able to offer sessions from 7 to 12 o'clock, and then from 12:30 to 5:30. And also with the support of our local infrastructure, totally free, with students being able to ride transportation. As long as they have their ID, they can ride the city bus. Also, when we look at being able to graduate at any particular time, students can come to us with a unique circumstance. They may have 2, 3 classes, and when they are finished, they are finished. If a student enters today and they have 2, 3 classes they need to close out, and if they can do it and get it done within a month or 2 months, they are finished on that particular day. And to know that you're getting a quality education from a fully accredited institution, it speaks volumes. Career preparation and transition. One of the things that we focus on also is making sure that this is not the last stop. We want to make sure that our students are prepared for beyond, realizing that in our society, we want to make sure that our students are truly equipped to go into the next arena of life, whether it be with college, career. We have a number of entities that also will visit and frequent our buildings. Students can also earn 3 credits of work experience. We have internships that offer our students an ability to be able to work and gain credit. Just last night, I stopped by a particular restaurant. I had 2 young ladies that said they were headed to work and they needed to leave early. I said, okay, I'm going to stop by. I want to meet your manager and I want to make sure that you're at work. And then I spoke to them about the internship opportunity as well. And so we encouraged our students to be able to connect with their managers or supervisors and bring in the documents informing us that they are actually employed. And we track the hours of work, so therefore they're able to actually get that credit for that internship. Post-secondary transition planning for that workforce preparation. We collaborate with all of the armed forces as well and community colleges and universities. And the good news is we have a formal cap and gown ceremony each June for all graduates. This year, we've already locked in that we have our graduation date on June the 2nd at the Hilton downtown. And so we're excited about what we can offer to all of those who come through the doors of West University and Seminole Heights Charter High School. Thank you. Are there any questions?
And those are students that are ages 15 to 22. Okay, so,
yes, sir.
Obviously, you're working with a population of kids that really need your help. What is the graduation rate, of the kids that are enrolled versus being able to be successful to get to graduation?
About 80% of the students that come in as a senior or they stay in our program to that level graduate from our program.
And Mr. Magnum, you may need to repeat the question depending on whether the person is before a microphone or not, just so people at home can hear.
Absolutely. And so the question was, what is the average graduation rate? And as Dr. Smith had eloquently answered, that we're standing around 80% graduation rate for those students who come into the program and complete the program. And I might add that I was very excited about 2 weeks ago. I had a young man who entered into Seminole Heights Charter High School with 0 credits, and he is a major testimony. He has completed all of his academic work, and so we're just awaiting some end-of-course tests as a point of his culmination. But far as classwork, everything, he's totally complete. And I asked him, I said, now, what's next for you? He's already done the research, and he is planning on going to flight school. So hats off to that young man who came to Seminole Heights 2 years ago and has completed his high school education.
Mr. Parkinson?
Did you bring any materials that our members can bring back to their organizations if they have a youth that might be appropriate for your program?
Yes, we have some materials that we can leave with everyone.
Appreciate that. If you could leave them just on the table over there, we'll make sure everyone gets them.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Magnum, do some of your children go on to community college or college?
As, in fact, we do, and there's a hallmark story. I'll let Dr. Smith tell it.
And actually, I can kind of just, one of our board members is Dr. Kenneth Ray, and Dr. Ray is the vice president of Hillsborough Community College. So we have a direct conduit there where any student graduating from one of our schools has not only the ability to attend the college, but also would receive some additional guidance and support as part of being in that program. In addition, I think you were referencing that our school also sponsors students and gives scholarships to those students that are interested in attending HCC.
Absolutely. And there is a historical story of an individual who actually graduated from Seminole Heights Charter High School and attended Harvard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is West University, that is a high school though, right? I just got thrown off by the university part of it.
It's funny. It is a high school. It was actually named just because of its geographic location, that it's west of the University of South Florida. So, not trying to throw off anyone that's geographically challenged. So, but it is a high school as well. Although some students do take pride in saying, "I go to the university." So, that's okay.
True.
Other questions? Thank you very much, Dr. Smith and Mr. Magnum, for being here and educating us about your program.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll move on. Does anyone have public comment today? Okay, no public comment. We'll move on to announcements. I've already announced that the secretary will be here January 20th for our public meeting. Other announcements? Yes. Come up to a microphone. Come up to a microphone so they can hear.
Character GPS. We have our annual leadership luncheon the Wednesday, November 30th, right after Thanksgiving. And we'd love to have any of our partners here join us. You just have to email me, jeffrey@charactergps.org. And so we have speakers, but Matt's going to be with us and just sharing some of the challenges that our kids are having, along with the Drug Alliance. And we have, there's Cindy, and we have also a speaker on, again, human trafficking. So some of the challenges our kids are facing. And so our partners and families with Character GPS, I see Rob there, we're inviting everyone to come again. This will be our 11th year of providing life and leadership skills for our kids. And we'll share what we're doing to be part of the team here to help get our kids on track to success. So we'd love to have you join us.
Thank you.
Rocky, I see we have some Bays people in the back. If one of them can step up and tell us who we need to send referrals for functional family therapy to, I'd appreciate that. Or give us an update on where you're at. I did participate in your webinar Zoom call, I think it was last week. Where are you at?
You can't get rid of me. Elvin Martinez Jr., I'm with Bays. And so I believe that we have our first referral already in the pipeline. Our FFT team is fully staffed, and we have a new director who I can connect with everybody. And the referral form is on our website, which is www.bayskids.org. And if you go to services and then functional family therapy, there's an actual referral form on the website that you can fill out, or any service provider can fill out, and then we'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
And again, great job on bringing that to fruition, Elvin. It's really going to make an impact.
Thank you. And I want to give credit to Hillsborough County because Sarah Grimmig and Patrick Menzie and the whole crew over at Hillsborough County has really been instrumental in providing support and capacity to be able to introduce that program into our community.
Any other announcements? Mr. Schmidt?
Just a quick second. I haven't really said who I am in a few of these meetings. Will Schmidt with Phoenix House, Florida. We are a substance abuse treatment center in Central Florida, but we also, I think the appropriate part of all this for us is the Derek Jeter Center in our outpatient services in Brandon. It's a phenomenal program for adolescents and juveniles. A lot of projects going on there, a lot of activities that are in the house and off-campus sort of thing. And we offer group counseling as well as one-on-one counseling. And it's just a wonderful thing that Mr. Jeter has been doing for a while there with Phoenix House, and we're proud of it. And if you want to know more details, well, you can get with me after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements? All right, then we will close the meeting at 11:14. Thank you, everyone, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
And Nico, yeah, this is Will Schmidt.
We've got a lot of